are the master of all the worlds as well. O Lord, what will become of me if you forsake me? I have understood after contemplating my predicament that within this world there is no one who can deliver this servant but you. So we were just actually talking the other day about how the Lord accepts certain objects as His own, called tadiya, conception of the devotee situated in love is tadiya and mamata. One means that mamata means that Krishna is mine, and tadiya means I am yours. And when a devotee offers himself to the lotus feet of the Lord accepts him as good as himself. And therefore it's described, I beg you yet again to accept me as your own. And it's described that the Lord accepts His four objects as tadiya. That is the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tulsi, the Lord's devotees. And what is the fourth? Tadiya. Huh? There was a fourth one there, Tulsi. Srimad Bhagavatam, Tulsi. Devotee of the Lord? I can't remember the fourth. We were reading it just the other day. And the point that was being made in the verse that we're reading is that when the Lord accepts someone as His own, then if one actually serves such an object that is possessed by the Lord, then that is how one can become recognized by the Lord. So when Krishna accepts his devotee as his own, when one serves a devotee of the Lord, or one serves Tulsi Devi, one serves Srimad Bhagavatam, by rendering service in this way, we can actually become qualified also to be accepted by the Lord, so He will accept us as His own. But until we keep maintaining our independent position, thinking that are not willing to offer ourselves to the Lord, holding so much back, then Krishna will not accept us as His own. Therefore it's described here, hopelessly taking birth over and over. I have now come to you for refuge. Please show your merciful nature and deliver this wretched soul. And you are the cause of the universe, and its very life. Other than you, there is no shelter. Krishna is the entire source of the entire material, is the source of the entire material spiritual worlds, and He is everything is emanating from Him, and He is the supreme shelter. Only the Lord can actually give complete shelter to the living entity, because only the Lord can fully engage the living entity in devotional service, now and forever. The impetus to surrender to the Lord is coming from Krishna, and to offer ourselves to Him. And the Lord can reciprocate in such a way that it will always increase. As we experience in this world, that sometimes when we offer ourselves to somebody, holding back part of ourselves, trying to offer ourselves completely, but always finding it gradually in due course of time, that we don't have the impetus to complete offering ourselves in a selfless way. Because the reciprocation is inadequate to fully satisfy us. So therefore, there is no shelter in any relationship with anything temporary, material. There is no shelter because it cannot fully satisfy ourselves and give us the impetus to give more of ourselves, which is the true expression of the soul, which is love. The true expression of the soul is to actually to be able to find the perfect repository of all of our affection without any diversion for a moment. And that is the most fully satisfying experience for the living entity. It's so satisfying that we see that all the Vaishnavas, the great Vaishnavas, they are teaching us by their example of how satisfied they are simply to serve Krishna. And they do not aspire for anything else. As Lord Brahma offers in his prayers, "Oh my Lord, I simply want to be recognized whether I take birth again in another universe or in the lower species of life, wherever I may take my birth, I simply pray that you may recognize me as your devotee. That is all. So he prays like that, turning away from everything else. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes in Gita, he says that turning away from all else, he describes himself as Anatta. Anatta, and the Lord is Anatta Vatsala. Anatta Vatsala means that the Lord, He's very kind and merciful to those who are Anatta. Anatta is not Anartha, it's Anatta. Anatta means one who has no master, one who has no shelter. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying, you are Anatta Vatsala. Anatta Vatsala to me, and Adama Anatta Magi. I have no master, I have no shelter. Therefore he says, I beg for you, please give me I beg for service, direct service to you. Ek prasada dorokana. He said, please give me the gift, prasad, give me the gift of your mercy. Rako anatira prana. Please save the soul who has no master and has no servant. And charitava sava dasya magi. Turning away from everything else. Turning away from everything else, I basically beg to for service to you. I beg to serve you. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining how I have no shelter, I have no master, but you are very kind and merciful to those who have no shelter. In this particular song in Gita Mala. So here he's also saying right here that you are the cause of the universe and its very life. Other than you, there is no shelter. Krishna can give complete shelter because he can protect us and engage us and satisfy our desires so full and so complete that the impetus to give more and more to him simply expands unlimitedly by surrendering our lives to him and taking full shelter of him. This is real shelter. So Krishna can do that, but any contact with any temporary shelter in this world will only end up in frustration because there is no real shelter. It's incomplete and cannot fully satisfy us and engage us eternally. And therefore whatever position we may achieve by taking shelter of illusory objects will always, it has to end in some frustration, in some, it's because nothing in this world can actually give real shelter to the soul. So you bring about auspiciousness for the world. You are the master of all the worlds as well. O Lord, what will become of me if you forsake me? I have understood after contemplating my predicament that within this world there is no one who can deliver the servant but you. So let's check this. Anybody remember what we were reading this morning?
Mother Jasoda's trying to feed Krishna and telling him that his throat's sunken in because he needs to eat. He hasn't eaten for days and his clothes are getting loose.
Madhu Mangal, what was he saying? This time with Jasoda, why are you worried? Why don't you just take advantage of what's happening right now and see it as an arrangement to relish seeing Krishna holding this hill.
He was saying that the hill was really as light as a feather.
Yeah.
Krishna was saying that.
Krishna was saying that. And also, but Madhu Mangal was saying also, he said, actually, by my mantras, the hill is what are you worrying about? I'm keeping the hill up by my mantras. It's essentially basically, I guess, what we were reading this morning was really just like, it was a perfect description of the complete fulfillment of all desires of the residents of Vrindavan and their heightened ecstatic love for Krishna. It's described in certain things that stimulate ecstatic love for Krishna. Krishna's qualities stimulate this ecstatic love, and also when devotees see certain things, it heightens their ecstasy even more. And this is called vibhava, is ecstatic symptoms, and then there's anubhava. Anubhava is another form of ecstasy which follows. The example that is given in the waves of devotion is that the mother is always keeping within her heart her love for her child, but when she sees the face of the child, it stimulates her to do something. So what does she do? She's already experiencing that love simply by seeing, but when she sees it, then this activity that follows willingly, and she wants to embrace the child. So that embracing of the child is called an anubhava. It's an activity which follows already that stimulus that she's experiencing coming in contact with her child, but it's an activity that follows and heightens the love, increases it more, embracing the child. So that's the vibhava, anubhava. And then there's the sattvika bhava. The sattvika bhava is another form of ecstasy, but it's an involuntary form of activity. And there are different types of sattvika bhavas which it describes that the devotees experience in their heightened ecstatic love. And then, anyways, all of these are stimulus for experiencing this ecstatic love with Krishna. And another type of stimulus is called udipan. Udipan means when one sees something, it immediately just like Prabhupada, he gives him the lecture, he gives the example when a mother loves the child, then the mother sees the shoe of the child, or sees the toy of the child, immediately she sees the child. Right? And the mother hears the voice of the child. So although it's not the child, but because everything the mother sees that's connected to the child, it really brings the thought of the child in the mother's mind because of her love. So this is called udipan. It's a stimulus which actually heightens one's ecstatic love for Krishna. And there are different types of udipan. Krishna's age is an udipan. Krishna's decorations, ornaments on his body, his hair, and there are so many different types of stimulus. His flute, it's an udipan. One hears the sound of Krishna's flute. We were reading about that this morning when Madhu Mangal was saying to Krishna, he said, we were all going to be in danger if you keep on playing that flute, because that flute destroys everything and it'll make Giriraj completely melt, and if Giriraj melts, then we're really going to be in trouble. so Mother Mangal was cautioning Krishna, maybe you should stop playing your flute before we get into more trouble than we're already in. And in other words, the sound of Krishna's flute is actually what increases or heightens one's ecstasy, and it's described as an udipan. So basically what we're reading this morning was just these types of loving exchanges and the heightened ecstasy. Mother Jasoda's heightened ecstasy of parental affection, which is called anugraha. Anugraha means that she feels that she has to protect Krishna. She has to protect and nurture him. Because if she doesn't protect and nurture him, then who's going to take care of her son? That's her motherly affection that she experiences. So when she saw Krishna in such a situation, such a state, holding up a hill, and not only that, not eating for so long. She became fearful, like, why don't you eat something? And then when Krishna hadn't eaten anything, she prepared some tambula to give him, because tambula is supposed to, if you eat it, it's supposed to build up the digestive juices or something. So she was thinking that, I have to do this, invigorate Krishna's appetite so he'll eat something finally. And then she said that, Subal, Krishna loves you so much, if he won't take it from my hand, maybe you should give him something and he'll eat it. She was somehow get Krishna to eat something. That was her heightened ecstasy. So all these discussions, Nanda Maharaj, Subal, Madhu Mangal, Nanda Maharaj, basically that's what we're reading about this morning, is their ecstatic love for Krishna, of course, and Krishna's reciprocation with their ecstatic love by stimulating that love to greater and greater heights by his wonderful pastimes of lifting Govardhan Hill, as we were discussing last night, that by the arrangement of the Lord's pastime potency, just like when a person experiences hunger, then it enhances one's experience when he tastes some very nice, tasty fruit. So in the same way, the apparent distress that the residents of Vrindavan were experiencing by the torrential rain that was inundating all of Vrindavan by Indra, was actually simply heightening their ecstasy and meditation on Krishna. And so, where do we leave off? Yes, here it is. The torrential rains, the cyclone winds. No.
Indra went to check to see what happened. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Indra was coming to check it out. Yeah, I think this is where we left off, actually. I didn't mark it. Should have. Yes, Indra felt no fatigue as he continued to attack Giriraj, being blinded by anger, finally lost all his intelligence and went totally blind. Yes. Well, anyways, I'll read from here. The torrential rains and cyclone winds harassed Vrindavan continually for 7 days, although repeatedly trying to fulfill the order of Indra, whose intelligence was more crooked than millions of lightning bolts. The clouds could not destroy or even slightly disturb the people of Vrindavan. The big clouds and their assistants almost died from their hard labor to please Indra. Although pulled down from his platform of false pride and defeated, the shameful Indra retained his fighting spirit. Those 7 days felt like 7 millenniums of intense pain for Indra. Yet the Brajavasis saw it as 7 joy-filled hours. Oh, just see the wonderful splendor of the Lord's divine prowess, which transcends the comprehension of even Brahma and Shiva. Although Govardhan Hill is immovable, it rested on the hand of Krishna. Somebody spoke. For 7 long days, the monsoon rains and horrific earth-shaking winds tortured the people of the world with bitter suffering and untold miseries. The serene and peaceful Giriraj, however, was not the least bit disturbed. Being constantly bathed by the rains and anointed with the fragrance of Krishna's divine body, Giriraj looked absolutely radiant and beautiful throughout the whole ordeal. By the mercy of Krishna, the danger finally ended. In the distance, the Brajavasis saw the gateways and rooftop rooms of their houses glittering attractively from being washed by the heavy rains. A fresh, clear sky appeared to fill all directions with auspiciousness. The people of Vrindavan felt they had just emerged from a deep, dark well of calamity and come to the light of good fortune. The earth planet thought it was again sitting on the tusks of Adivaraha. The plants and creepers sprouted anew and unfurled fresh leaves. Just as one cured of the disease of insanity attains peace and no longer suffers from epileptic fits, Similarly, the wind, now freed from the disease of devastation, blew gently. The rivers, the wives of the ocean, again flowed slowly and respectfully toward their husbands. Just as the forceful pushings of the mind subside as one advances on the path of God realization, similarly the blasting clouds dissipated to leave a clear sky behind them. Nice analogy. Just as the forceful pushings of the mind subside as one advances in the path of God realization, similarly the blasting clouds dissipated to leave a clear sky behind. After aborting 7 children, represented by the 7 days and nights, the wife of time now gave birth to a beautiful son, appearing as the auspicious 8th day. On that day, the Supreme Lord Giridhari said, "The fierce wind and rain has now ceased, and the sky is totally free from the clouds of devastation. Free from the thick covering of mud, the earth is now dry and smooth." After falling unconscious for 1 week, the son opened his eyes. "O residents of Vrindavan, your village has returned to its normal state. Now it is time to come out from beneath the mountain." After hearing this, everyone assembled in a happy mood and led out the cows. The cows considered themselves fortunate because they got to relish the sweetness of Krishna's face for 7 continuous days. They lost interest in other things that had previously pleased them. When the cowherd boys called them out, they delayed for a while and then shot out like a volley of arrows. But when they saw Krishna still under the hill, they quickly ran back and surrounded him. Immediately, Krishna drove them out again by glancing at them with the compassion of a friend. From all directions, the smooth-skinned, pleasant-looking herds of cows streamed out from the valley under Govardhan. As they came up, they looked like the expanded hood of Sheshanaga rising out of Patalaloka, or a sheet of moonshine hiding in a cave out of fear of darkness, or like matted locks of diffused light being born from the crystal mountain of Giriraj. Thus, induced by Krishna's words, the cowherd men gave up their fear and smiled cheerfully. With great enthusiasm, they left the temporary village beneath Giriraj. The elated gopis cast veiled glances at Krishna as they walked out from the hill. The effulgent gopis seemed like the rays of a brilliant light, visible even in the daytime, or the dazzling rays emanating from the valuable jewels below the mountain, or the glowing light of the ruby atop the hood of a naga snake. After the cowherd boys left, Krishna set the hill down exactly in its previous location. He tossed Giriraj off his hand, just like a child throwing a flower ball. Then Krishna met his friends for more pastimes of wandering in Vrindavan. Overwhelmed with ecstatic love, the residents of Vrindavan came forward to greet Krishna according to their individual relationships with him. And that's going to be described. That's what we done tomorrow. So I'm going to end.